religious and like what keeps you going?
Okay, so I'm going to repeat the question for the ones who didn't hear it. What keeps you going? What can keep you inspired? You do a lot of good, you do a lot of mitzvot, you grow, and then you get to a point that you're like, phew, all the air went out. Excuse me? Doesn't matter. Each person, it comes in a different way. You always have downs in your Avodat Hashem. That suddenly everything cools down. Either you don't see results, or you feel that you're giving too much, and then you. The question is how you stay. What's the word you used? Inspired. There's many different ways. One of the ways is you connect yourself to somebody that constantly feeds you this inspiration. Now, you know, the greatest leader of Israel was Moshe Rabbeinu. The Zohar calls Moshe Rabbeinu Raya Mehemna. That's how he calls him. What's Raya Mehemna? In Hebrew it's Roe Ne'eman. Did you get your questions? You said you had a question. Tomorrow will be a longer night than today. Tomorrow is going to be a big crowd and it's a long lecture.
Let her ask the question. Just ask the question.
Ask the question.
So if I, let's say for a number of years, clear, it's obvious.
So, like I told you before, you have to purify yourself in order for it to be very clear. The more you purify yourself, when I say purify, I'm not talking like with a water filter. I'm talking about when you refine yourself. The more you refine yourself, then things will be more clear. If you don't refine yourself, then you're always going to have the doubts. How do I know? Is it the right one? Is it not the right one? Sometimes it's like 99% the right one, but it's not the right one. The only trick here is to refine yourself. And refining yourself is, I'm repeating it over and over, with your diet, with your behavior, with your avodah inside of you, all the little things, not necessarily the rituals, the mitzvot, the work you do inside yourself, how honest you are inside with yourself. It's very easy to lie to everybody around, but you can't really lie to yourself. And people who lie to themselves, the reaction is the opposite of refining themselves. So the more you refine yourself, everything will be more clear. So the easiest ways what to see on the refinement is your diet. Other thing is I told you, is your transformation from inside. And another thing I told you in the last class is saying Kriyat Shema Lamita. But you're saying it with the meaning that A, I want to do tshuva for everything that I did. B, I want to cleanse myself, I want to clean myself. And more than that, I want to prepare myself that when I go up to Shamayim, then I get charged the right way. And when you get charged the right way, things are more obvious and clear. So when you come to a situation like this, you're able to see it a little bit clearer. And it's kind of connected to her question, but it's always good to have somebody that inspires you. She's asking how to be inspired. The same person that can constantly inspire you can be your rabbi, can be your whatever. Somebody who's obviously spiritual, that sees above you, not straight into you, and he knows both people. That's why in the religious world, why is the dating done through a shidduch? Because there's a third party that sees and analyzes it, not emotionally. No, intellectually. It's not a match. I can see, a person sees, you have to see from above. Now if you're looking at it from your height, you're looking, your emotions are there, your desires, your excitement, he's cute, he's not cute, whatever. So many factors, you don't thinking 100% clear. But when somebody comes from the side, it's like going to a business advisor. You can look, the business, the investment is going to be the best investment. Comes a business advisor and tells you, what, are you out of your mind? You're going to lose your underwear in a year. So sometimes it's good to, not sometimes, it's good to have a person that is I'm answering also you, that inspires you. So he constantly feeds you with inspiration, but that person can also come tell you, you know what, I met the guy, I don't think he's not for you because of like this and this and this. Okay. I have a student girl that actually she flew from New York to Los Angeles. She was dating somebody here in Los Angeles. You have to meet him, he's my other half, blah, 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 blah. And just by how she was talking already, I told her, he's not for you. And then I had a lecture here in Etzach a few months ago on the other side, the other room, and she brought him. I just looked at him walking into the room. I told her, you're wasting your time. But he's so cute. I told her, hey, cute is not going to last long. It's not, so what if he's cute? And she saw it in a completely different way. I came as a neutral, a third party. I'm nothing to gain, nothing to lose. I just want to give you good advice. And I told her, he's not for you from this, and this reasons. And you know what she did? She still dated him for a year, and they broke up now after a year, and she's like, I should have listened to you before. So sometimes you have to walk on the path. So sometimes you have to involve somebody, a third party, that has a good ability to look at both sides and says, you know what, this is good, this is not good. Because not always your own refinement will be the last word, because you're still coming, especially in this niche of dating, you're coming with a lot of emotions. You want to get married already, or he excites you from every word that comes out of his mouth, wow, or you're not thinking 100% clear. And so how in the olden days, why did it work for thousands of years, the matchmaking? Because you came to a date, everything was already pulled from above, and there was too many, not too many, but a lot of connections made. So you have to use sometime, it's funny, I always say, like I said before, how technology teaches us something. I was going on a LinkedIn today. Somebody was sending me something. It showed me all sorts of job opportunities, and I was like, how does it know that I do this, and this, and this? Not that I'm looking for a job, but I was like, wow, and I was like, of course. I feed it information, where I live, what's my profession, how many people endorse me for this and for that. It takes all the information, it analyzes this, and it says, this is the perfect job for you, and that guy is offering this job, and voila, here's a shidduch. And we see it in many, LinkedIn is more on to the point because it's business. It's not all the rest of the nonsense. But the same thing in the real life. So when somebody looks from above, he says, okay, I'm making all these connections. Oh, here you have another connection, another connection. Try to go for that. So I would do a very good mixture of refining yourself as much as you can in all the departments of the refinement. And then also trying to maybe involve somebody, a third party, so I can actually give you advice by saying, look, he's a very nice guy, but this is your path you want to go on. And at some point, a couple has to be like a railroad. You can look at a railroad from here to New York. It's exactly the same distance, the entire railroad. You move the frame, not the frame, the track, 1 millimeter. After a couple miles, it will start splitting away. And then the train falls, the disaster. This is a shidduch. If it's not 100% parallel, at some point, 1 millimeter moves, 3 years down the line, it's total different paths. So you have to, this is why the shidduch, all this dating is so tricky, because you don't see all the points, all the factors. A lot of people concentrate on right now, they don't see 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. In 40 years, who cares? I'm going to be dead in 40 years. No, it's not what's going to be in the next year or two.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Should you compromise in the beginning, even though you know something is wrong?
It depends. Sometimes you have to compromise. Sometimes it's not good to.
Women have corruption.
Try to tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe tomorrow was not going to be so much questions.
No, will be tomorrow.
Can we finish?
So I'll come earlier if you're there.
Or you have my number. I gave you my card.
Yes.
So,
Oh, you have to answer. Can we finish the inspiration?
yeah.
Thank you very much. My question.
Yeah. I thought you'll bring him tonight or tomorrow. You got my email? Okay. Yeah. I'm leaving next Tuesday. So the inspiration. I was talking about Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is called, the Zohar calls Moshe Rabbeinu Raya Mehemna. In Hebrew it's called Roe Ne'eman, a trustworthy shepherd. Why? Not because he was a good shepherd and he kept the sheep right. Why? Because he constantly fed them the right way. A good leader is not only that he teaches you things, he feeds you. He feeds you your emunah. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu is called Raya Mehemna, because he's the shepherd that actually feeds you emunah. Now, we don't have a Moshe Rabbeinu right now, but each person, the Torah tells you, Aseh lecha rav, istalek min hasafek. When you make yourself a rav, he becomes your shepherd that feeds you. So you come once a week to his class. Every month you go to his home to a Shabbat meal. Once in whatever amount of time you sit down and you talk to that person. And it's not for him to teach you Torah. He inspires you. Just by looking at him. When I became religious, I used to go to my rabbi. I would just look at him. I would get inspired. How he talks, how he moves. I was like, wow. You know? Why? I went to many other rabbis that didn't inspire me. Because you have the one that you just look at that person and it will inspire you. So that's one of the most important things. You have to find somebody that really inspires you and you have to tag along. And you go and you listen to that person. It doesn't have to be a man. It can be a woman. It can be an amazing woman that is your hero. But she inspires you just by you looking at her once a week, talking to her, whatever. But you need somebody to inspire you. Other than that, the more you reduce from yourself any type of ego, which is very hard, and I'm not saying it in a negative way. I'm saying it in a what's the word? In a criticizing, but in a good way, not to you, constructive. I'm saying it in a general way. We all have our own ego. I want to eat now. Let's go eat over here. No, the food is disgusting. I want to eat over there. That's also ego. Well, what's wrong with that food? So maybe that's a bad example, but the reality is that we all are kind of ego-driven. The more you push it away, the more room is going to be for Hashem. The more room there's for Hashem, you're going to be by default inspired. You're not going to have any problem. Now the thing is that the more you grow in the spiritual, it's like a pencil that you sharpen. In the beginning, there's nothing. You start sharpening it, it's not, you don't even see the lead. And then you sharpen more and more and more. Suddenly you start making it sharper and sharper and sharper. Then you have like this totally sharp piece. I'm talking about the piece of the lead, not the piece of the wood. The more you grow in spiritual, you sharpen yourself. Now the thing is that the more you grow, you also get affected more by negative things. So the more you grow, obviously there will be things that will affect you. The thing is that you have to grow in a very strong way. Our sages say your roots have to be strong. If your roots are strong, then any wind that will come will not move you like a strong tree. But if your roots are very weak, then every wind that will come will wind, I'm not talking about a physical wind. I'm talking about something in your life that will throw you from side to side, and then it shakes you.
What would you say, if you're having such a battle to overcome the Yetzer Hara?
The thing is with the Yetzer Hara is the more you grow, he grows with you. So you have to understand that the more you grow in your spiritual level, he will become more sophisticated and more smarter, and will come in a more dakut, a more refined way. You just have to, this is where the mentor, the rabbi, or instructor, however you want to call it, that's where he can kick in. Because he actually comes as a third party and tells you, no, don't listen, this is just a Yetzer Hara. You come with a certain issue, this is hard for me, he can come and analyze the situation. The reality is that the Yetzer Hara will never go. He's always there. Constantly there. There's a great question when Moshe Rabbeinu, he had the revelation, the burning bush, the whole special effects, and then he went to Mitzrayim and he came with all happy, I'm going to now get them all out of Mitzrayim. He got everybody hyped up and he got everybody excited, and then he walks into Paro, and not only that he didn't get them out, he made it worse. He walks out like he didn't know what to do. He totally broke his spirit. Now the Torah doesn't tell us, like I told you before, the Torah is missing a lot of details. The entire time of the plagues is a whole year. People think it was 2 weeks, and no, it took a whole year. From the day Moshe Rabbeinu came to Mitzrayim till they left, exactly a year. Every plague was a month. 1 week was the actual plague, 3 weeks negotiating. Like now they're negotiating with Iran about the bomb, now negotiating. Moshe and Paro negotiating. 3 weeks. 3 weeks negotiations, 1 week a plague. So you have 10 plagues, it's 10 months. How do you come to a year? For 2 months, Moshe Rabbeinu left Mitzrayim and didn't come back. Hashem told him, you have a job, I don't want to do it. But I told you to do it, I don't want to do it. 2 months, Moshe Rabbeinu got so discouraged, he was like, I don't understand. You tell me to go, you hype me up, I come with all my energy, I got everybody excited that I'm getting them out of Egypt, and then you made it worse? I don't understand. So make it worse and then send me to take them out. What's the point here? The point was that Moshe Rabbeinu had the ability to permeate in us, then even when things go bad, I still have to have emunah in Hashem. So the reality is that sometimes the Yetzer Hara will hype you up, you get hyped up, you grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and then something happens. And what happens is that it shakes you. The reality is that you still at that time have to have emunah. Why? Because I was created to serve Hashem, and part of my service is that sometimes I'm going down. I don't know if you were in that class that I mentioned, I always mention the same thing. You go to a hospital now, you want to see if a person is alive, you see the lines, they're going up and down, up and down. That means the person is alive. If the line is flat, person's dead. So our life is constantly going up and down. If you have a flat line, a person has everything is the same thing, the person is dead, spiritually. You have to have the up and then you go down. Then you go up and then you go down. You can go up if you don't go down. So sometimes you have to go down. The trick here is not to get pulled down when you're going down, is to say, okay, this is like a momentum. I call it ירידה לצורך עלייה. I'm going down in order to go, I'm going back 1 step to go 3 steps forward. It's exactly like I want to jump over a high fence. I have to go 100 meters back and I have to run real fast. Why? To get momentum. So sometimes you have to go back. The problem is what happens is that the second that you go 1 step back, your Yetzer Hara will right away come and tell you, he pushes you even more back, and then you lose the whole point. The point is to know, okay, now I went back, now in order to go 3 steps forward. And one of the easiest ways of doing it is that you have a mentor that inspires you. Or the other thing is that the more you make space for Hashem, and it's very easy because when you refine yourself and you get to a very high level, you're saying, what more can I do? I'm doing everything. Here it comes what's called bedakut, in a very refined way. And the more, there's a famous story that one time, one of the disciples, the Talmidim of the Arizal, was giving over a drasha. And he was like talking about great Kabbalah concepts. And the Arizal was sitting in the crowd listening to his student. And he was talking about such great things that suddenly Avraham Avinu walked into the room. The Arizal sees Avraham Avinu, only Arizal can see him. Then Yitzchak walks into the room, then Yaakov walks into the room, then Moshe Rabbeinu walks into the room, then Aaron, everybody came to hear this chidush, this amazing Torah that this Talmid is talking about. And suddenly they all got up and left. And the Arizal, saw this. Later on he came to the Talmid and he told him, when you started, Avraham walked into the room, Yitzchak walked into the room, everybody walked into the room. And the Talmid says, but why did they walk out? So he says, because at some point you got to such a high level and you had a little bit of an ego that you came up with this great new thing. The second that you had just a little bit of an ego, everybody left the room. They couldn't stand being in the room. The second that a person has a little bit of ego, Hashem right away moves away. Hashem cannot dwell where there's ego. So with some people the ego is huge, then Hashem doesn't dwell there bichlal. But a person refines himself. Now there's nothing wrong with tapping yourself on your back by saying, I'm doing real great. But sometimes a person has too much of an ego, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do that. And that's when you push Hashem out. The more you want to be by default inspired is only if you let Hashem totally to be in you. When Hashem is 100% there, then you're not going to have any problem with inspiration. Lehefech, the Yetzer Hara will come, you'll right away say, that's the Yetzer Hara, no problem. It's another test, I have to fight it right now, no problem. The problem is that when a person starts involving his own, I call it ego, but the word to say is yeshut, the existence, the me. And it's not an easy level to come, because the more you grow, the harder it is. If a person is a very low level, then then he doesn't really feel it. A person grows to a refined level, then it comes in a what's called bedakut, very, how would you translate dakut? Very refined way. So I would suggest to find a good mentor as a beginning that can come and inspire you all the time. And I told you, it can be a man, it can be a woman, doesn't have to. Obviously, you want somebody who's God-fearing, that the inspiration will come from a holy place. So I met not too long ago somebody says, oh, I have a mentor. And I was like, good, so you go to his Shabbat table? No, he's not a Jew. I told him, so how, I understand, let's say business-wise, fine, or sport-wise, but how can you have a not Jewish person be your spiritual mentor? I told him, that I don't get. Tell me he's your mentor in business, I understand. Or you're doing, you're doing some sport, fine. But you chose a not Jewish person, a spirit. No, he's very spiritual. But he doesn't know nothing about Judaism. How can he inspire you in Judaism if he's not even Jewish? So you have to find somebody that if you want to be in whatever department you want to be inspired, that's the person who needs to inspire you. And other than that, like I told you, same thing. The more you refine yourself, the inspiration will come by default. We have to close the doors.